Getting our friends together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door, which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Today. Must be 21 plus. Not available in all locations. Man, I wish they had Drizzly when I used to play D&D and Riffs. Maybe it's time for me to start again. Thanks, Drizzly.
The podcast playground.
Hooray! Hey, it's my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Hi-ho, Coolest Geeks. It's Jesse Blaze Snider here at Coolest Geek Live. How you doing? I'm doing good. I saw fucking The Iron Claw last night. Holy shit. What a great movie. I am like, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm like, I'm not somebody who like watches matches a lot. I used to watch a little bit when I was a kid. I had like an era where I was a Hulk Hogan fan, and a huge Ultimate Warrior fan, and a big Macho Man fan, and a big Bret Hart fan. And then a friend of mine famously pretended he was Brutus the Barber Beefcake and cut off some of my hair. And that was it. I was done with wrestling. I was very upset that this friend violated my free will in this way. I've always believed in free will. I was like, that person is not my friend. But, throughout my life, so many of my best friends have been wrestling fans. I've just been chatting with my buddy TJ today. Shout out to TJ Serrani. Famously, TJ became my best friend. He was a parent of one of the other kids. Was like, oh yeah, we think you'd like his dad, whatever. And we agreed to go trick or treating with them. And this dude showed up dressed as Hulk Hogan, and I was like, all right, we can be friends. I was a Black Lantern that day. I was just in black sweatpants and black sneakers and my Black Lantern t-shirt, and I had a black ring on. And I think I did like a little like zombie thing on the side of my head or whatever, like I was dead. And I was a Black Lantern, and he was he was a Macho Man. I'm pretty proud it was Hulk. And I was like, all right, he's cool. We could be friends. So people like TJ and my bestie Aaron Sparrow. He enjoys some wrestling stuff as well. I think probably on the same level as me. We like the Royal Rumbles and occasional matches. Going to a local match and like seeing like a small wrestling promotion. It's a lot of fun. If you've never gone to one and you can't, you got to go to it and like get into it and really play. Like you got to go to a wrestling match and you got to be like an actor in the stands. Respond, great. The better they perform, the better it is. But to sort of play with them and be yelling things out and there's an interaction between the crowd and the wrestlers, and it's really wonderful when you can see, especially at like some of the smaller ones. I wish I could call out the one that I went to go see with Aaron and a few friends a while, like a year ago now, but it was so awesome. It was at a little place. I wish I remember the guy's name. He was all like gothed out. He's the guy who whites out his face, and he looks like a little gremlin guy. He's a littler dude. He's flyer or whatever. But it was great. I mean, he was the only guy there, and I don't even know if he wrestled. He just like showed up or whatever. But like he's one of their bigger promotions in this little league, and it was awesome. But all that is to say that I've come to be a fan of wrestling, and where my fandom really comes is in the behind the scenes. I just find wrestling so fucking interesting. It's such an interesting job, and an interesting thing that's going on. It's really just like one of the more interesting. That's the only fucking word I could think of. There's just a lot of working pieces to how it works, really, and how people succeed and why people don't, and it's very interesting. And then there's the danger and injuries and so many things that go on in wrestling that make the behind the scenes of it really compelling. And I'm always a big fan of a good wrestling documentary. I watch a lot of little behind the scenes stuff on wrestling on YouTube all the time, whether it's little podcast things or behind the scenes at various matches. I love athletics as well. Like I'm really big on boxing and MMA and that kind of stuff. Like, again, I don't tend to be sitting there at the bar drinking a beer, but I'll watch all the highlights, and I find it interesting. I consider myself a fighter, an athlete. I always wanted to be a boxer, but I'm a football player, and superhero comics and whatnot, all these things, heroic efforts, feats of strength, and trying to give your all to an ideal and that kind of stuff. It appeals to me very much, and wrestling is doing it in such a interesting, inside out kind of way, because it's it's fake, quote unquote. It's fake to a certain. It's fake if you're looking at it from the outside looking in, as the goal of it is like two people actually beating the crap out of each other, when really the goal of it is to tell a story and build suspense and connect with an audience, as a little man on a stage in front of thousands of people, sometimes far away, be able to actually put on a match and do enough from this distance that these people are going to be compelled and interested. When you look at what the actual job entails, it is a dangerous and interesting job, but it's not fighting. The traditional, that's not what it is. It's a way more complex. It's way fucking harder. What's his face? He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Him and his brother always beat each other. It's so hard when I don't prepare with names and stuff. Something for names that I don't think of a lot. But they're really some blue collar mother effers. Their faces, you can tell that they are fighters, and they are, oh man, they take a beating. They're such great fighters and performers, but they can't wrestle. That's a completely different skill. They wouldn't be able to do that. Maybe Conor McGregor could wrestle and do the thing, but it's and be good, be like a good one of these good guys. But finding a gimmick that work, that's a thing too. Finding a gimmick in wrestling that works for you, because a lot of times these guys, they're big and they can do the athletic thing, but they're not the greatest performers, and they got to find a way in. It's just it really is just the most complex and interesting type of entertainment that exists. And honestly, I don't say this lightly, I seriously considered pursuing wrestling a few times, because I'm a former gymnastics coach. I'm a national champion semi-pro football player. I'm not the biggest guy in the world. What am I, 5'9"? But I was always really athletic, and I love jumping around, and I give me an excuse to go run and jump and have fun. That's all I do with my kids, is we run and we play tag, and we they tire me out because they want to play again and again and again, but Daddy's still fast as lightning. And I love the athletic component of anything. So I really seriously thought about going into wrestling, because I know I'm a good performer who's good on the mic. I do voiceovers, and you guys deal with me talking pretty regularly. And I think, as a writer, occasionally I'm pretty funny on the show, I guess. I'm hoping. But I'm not funny all the time. Generally speaking, I'm giving you guys a lot of information. Most of what I do is really information heavy for me, because that's what I value the most as a person. Well, I value comedy actually big time, the most, I would say, actually, in terms of joy. But in terms of value for my time, it's I want information. Give me as much information as possible. So I try to fill this show with as much information as I possibly can. But the comedy aspect is something that I really believe that I have as well, when I can write things down and figure out, ways to connect to the audience, whether it's through a comic book or whatever. And I was looking at the wrestling world and I was just like, I bet I could do this. I bet I could figure out some interesting ways to go about this. And, my background as a musician, and I love being athletic. I think I would love this job. And I was eventually coaching gymnastics, but I was going to adult gymnastics classes because, why was I doing that? Oh, because I was practicing backflipping and like doing front flips and stuff on stage. Because as a musician, I just was always trying to overachieve, and I just wanted to like really be better as a performer on stage. So if you see a lot of my music videos and stuff, sometimes you'll see me throw a backflip or throw a front flip off something. And I was practicing at that time. But also there was a group of dudes who I became really great friends with who were all amateur wrestlers, and they were always practicing all these moves and stuff. And I would work with them sometimes, and I started like learning this stuff. So learning this stuff, I just was, that much more motivated and kind of for a moment in time, I seriously thought about wrestling. And when you hear these stories and you see something like Iron Claw, you just go, really glad I didn't do that. really glad I didn't become a wrestler, because, seeing how the sausage is made, truly, motherfucker, these guys are really... we all go through our own freaking nightmares in our own ways, but holy shit, the Iron Claw, the story of the Von Erichs, I don't want to like spoil it. At the same time, I want to prepare you. Like, it's awesome, and it's probably going to be out of theaters any second now. It might be out of theaters already, but when it shows up, watch it. Fucking Zac Efron, all of the performers are amazing. There is only one part of the movie that I fucking can't stand, and that is when a Ric Flair shows up, and the actor who they got to play him is terrible. He doesn't even do a good woo, as me and TJ were talking about in text message a few minutes ago. It's the only crappy part of the movie. The whole movie is great, powerful. It's really about family. It's very tragic. It ultimately ends on a very wonderful fact of the matter, but holy shit, what a fucking rough life the Von Erichs family had. And the movie is freaking awesome. I highly recommend it. And forgive me for giving it a little bit of time to talk about just wrestling and my love of wrestling and appreciation for the sport and the behind the scenes and how it's done and all that shit. But it was really, I just thought it was an amazing movie, at least a 9 out of 10 for me. Awesome. I'll definitely watch it again. Kind of wish I had brought my kids to see it, because I was going to go see it with my son Cassidy. And then Grayson kind of wanted to see it with me, and I like looked it up online, and it seemed like, oh man, maybe too heavy for him. And maybe it is too heavy for them. I don't know, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I gotta think maybe not for the kids. What up, guys? Jesse Blaze Snider here. And whether your resolution is to save money, eat better, or stress less, HelloFresh is here to help you do all three. Say hello to your most delicious year yet, with fresh ingredients and chef-crafted recipes at a price point you'll like, delivered right to your door. So you've resolved to actually sit down and eat dinner around the table like me. But what do you do about those nights when your schedule's packed, like mine always is? Turn to HelloFresh's lineup of quick and easy meals, including their 15-minute recipes designed to help minimize mealtime stress. It's really awesome, actually. My brother, Shane, he was doing Twitch, and he had sponsorship from HelloFresh. So me and my girlfriend at the time, we got a bunch of HelloFresh meals, and we ended up doing it for a few months because it was just awesome. It was super convenient. The biggest thing about it that I liked was that I didn't feel like I was wasting food all the time, because everything was cut into portions exactly what you needed for the meals. And the meals were delicious. My girl was making them mostly, and they were really great and usually pretty easy to get done, like fast and stuff. I really highly recommend HelloFresh. It's quite a cool experience to just have that food show up to your door. Here's the directions, here's everything pre-cut, and you're just cleaning up the dishes to get it done. So go to HelloFresh.com/CoolGeekFree and use code CoolGeekFree for free breakfast for life. I'm so excited to offer that to you. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/CoolGeekFree with code CoolGeekFree. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. I'm just like very real when it comes to my children. I'm like, real life is real life. I think the more that you shield children from real life, the more it takes on an extra life and it becomes extra scary and extra, if it's just sort of a fact of life, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yes, you could burn to death. It is what it is. But like if you're not given that sort of like here it is. There's the bottom. It is what it is, and it's like avoided. Like it's sort of these things like build up, like it becomes like these scary things that your parents don't even want to face. They can't even face fire. They can't tell me. They don't want to admit how scary that is to them. Like but if you can just be like, it is what it is. So I always tend to lean on showing my kids anything that they can intellectually understand, if I think it could be helpful. But I do think that this movie's probably too rough. But I think Cassidy can handle it. Anyway, let's talk about this shit because I didn't know what I was going to talk about because I don't know. There was like a few things. There was a bunch of things to talk about, and the one thing that I noticed was largely these things that were going on, mostly all revolved around Disney. And it was, like clearly they've been failing, right? We've been talking about this a lot. I mean, I said I was going to give Disney a rest for a second, or Bob Iger a rest. I'll get to Bob in a little bit. But clearly they've been struggling, and shifts are being made, and they seem sort of rapid. There's like, announcement, and almost in some of these cases, you're going to see, these announcements are like on the heels of the reaction to the previous announcement and the reaction to the previous announcement or whatever else. So clearly mistakes were made, and Disney is sending us the message that they recognize mistakes are made by sending us announcements of changes that they are making. Now, this fucking news cycle of changes has just been mind-numbing to me because there are clear indicators of the recognition of the problem in, say, one way or another, which we're going to get into. And then another announcement will come that clearly shows they haven't fucking learned anything. What are you doing, you idiots? And so, like, I feel like a schizophrenic person right now looking at this stuff. It's like, oh, good. Oh, what? Oh, good. Oh, what? Oh, good. What? Fuck. Make it make sense, someone. So let's see. We've got 5. What am I titling this thing? It's Disney's Nosedive. 5 signs Disney's learned their lesson, and 5 signs they've yet to begin. Or I updated it. I think it's going to be something like Disney Nosedive. 5 that they're pulling up. 5 things that show they're pulling up, and 5 things that show that they can't find the throttle. So here's what we got. Let's start with something good. Falcon Cap, the movie, and the Daredevil TV show get massive, almost complete overhaul reshoots after executives see footage from the Daredevil show and after test audiences crash the ratings of the Falcon Cap show bigger than bigger than the Marvels, And the Marvels was apparently like an open, critics. And the follow-up, the Captain America Falcon movie, it was a selected audience. A selected audience of stans. When you see the thing, like, there's a little promotional video going around of Echo right now, which is just a complete embarrassment for them across the board. This 9-episode thing that they cut down to 5 episodes. You want to know when you're not doing representation right? When there's an awesome character like Echo from the comics, and you can't even cast somebody who has the energy of that character. You can't even honor the way that character has been depicted. And instead, you bring in somebody who's butch because they fit the description. This lady, this Native American lady who they got, she's not an actress. She came in because they were looking for deaf and disabled. Sometimes you don't have a person who is great at acting who checks your boxes. I'm sorry, guys. And it's better representation on screen to have an actor demonstrate what it might look like if there was this beautiful girl who was deaf and who could replicate anything she saw, and she could feel the vibrations, through just all these subtle vibrations. That was cool. And you got the producer of this show talking about how her powers in the comics were lame, so they had to turn her into this even lamer and more convoluted, stupid, directly connected to her being a Native American. That's fucking racist. Okay? Stop being fucking racist in your representation. She was a cool character. Her powers didn't have anything to do with her fucking race. She was just like all the other superheroes. It just so happened she was a Native American chick, and she was very feminine. And she was well liked. A lot of people on YouTube and whatnot, because they haven't actually read any comics featuring her. They haven't read the comics that established her in the very beginning, which was by David Mack, and Brian Michael Bendis was helping with it. And they're beautiful. David Mack is a beautiful artist. He's a watercolor artist, and he uses models, and his artwork is always just gorgeous. He dates like very pretty Asian women usually, and you'll see the women have like the same bodies of all these beautiful. I mean, he draws beautiful stuff. And I just remember all these wonderful images. It was very interesting. I think Joe Quesada had worked on some of the books with them. Like they had done some mixed art in these issues. Like it was like the relaunch of Daredevil for Marvel Knights after the initial run by Kevin Smith, and they did. It was just very interesting artwork, and I'd never seen anything quite like it. And Echo was similar to Daredevil. In a way, she had some similar sort of powers. She was similarly handicapped, and she couldn't hear. But there was all these. I remember seeing her playing the piano and hitting the piano and feeling the vibrations, and her being able to replicate the powers of anything that she saw, similar to how like Taskmaster does. But through this disability, she had developed a great power, similar to the way that Daredevil had. And that was interesting because of the relationship to Daredevil. Granted, her by herself in her own series and all this shit, she wasn't tried and true in that fashion. Do I think if somebody said, hey, Jesse, could you do something great with the Echo character as a solo character? I think I could. I think it's absolutely within the realm of reason that she could have been translated into other spaces and been done well. They've done some things with her in recent time, and I have not dove into all of it, but I've looked at a lot of it, and I don't think they did a very good job at all. And I like that character very much. I like that's a favorite character of mine who was like an early in my reading of the Marvel Universe. I saw her introduced, and I was like, ooh, I like this character. I think that they could do more with her. I hope to see more of her. And in pitches that I've made here or there, she's shown up. She's been mentioned because she's a character I like. So to see them just reinvent this character and call it Echo, it's not Echo. It's not remotely the thing. the thing that somebody like myself, I liked that character. They fucking destroyed her. They did a terrible job. It's awful. It's fucking awful. Okay? Like, it's awful.
Do you ever feel like life is a never-ending series of lessons while you try to find purpose, meaning, and answers? I am Vanessa Fontana, the host of Figuring Shit Out, a podcast where we undertake self-help, coming of age, and healing. As I live my 20s in New York City figuring shit out myself, I've realized that if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life. You have an act. On Figuring Shit Out, every Sunday, you get to normalize the journey of not knowing and be guided into living your life with more intention and ease.
I have no problem enjoying an empowered female. Like, I don't see sex. I don't see I don't see race. I don't see anything. We're all like, animals. It's like my favorite types of videos to watch on like Instagram is videos of animals behaving like human beings. That's it. That's what I want to see. Videos of animals behaving like human beings, because they are us. We are them. It's all the same thing. So like, I don't have any trouble enjoying. It doesn't matter what window dressing is being put on the soul. Okay, it could be a square talking to a circle, and if the square feels bad because he lost his father, if you do it right, I'll care. I believe that everybody does. Everybody is ultimately blinded, by narrative. And that any compelling story can change your mind about anything, which is why I believe in the power of narrative, why I believe in fiction, and why I hate seeing when fiction is being used to divide us and not being used to bring us together. And, it's just so unfortunate. They did it with She-Hulk, and now they've done it with Echo. She-Hulk is a great character, one of my favorite characters in comics. Really, when you read a lot of comic books, you tend to read a lot of the same genre. Plenty of them will be different in all sorts of interesting ways and whatnot, but a lot of them are ultimately very, within the same realm genre-wise. So because of that, a book like She-Hulk is one that you remember so fondly because it was different. Month in and month out, when you picked up She-Hulk, it was a different kind of vibe. And the Jennifer Walters character wasn't a character who was hating on themselves the way Bruce Banner was, or dealing with all this crazy angst or whatever it was. Like Peter Parker was just always, things were not going well for him. Generally speaking, everything was going well for Jennifer Walters. She would have trouble and whatnot, and things would annoy her, and she would have her struggles, but they were always sort of like a, can you believe this shit, kind of thing. She had a good attitude. She enjoyed being the Hulk, and ultimately she enjoyed living in the Marvel Universe and enjoyed being intelligent and being able to be useful, and she was a grateful character with charm. And somebody that girls would like, somebody that boys would like, just you want to be Jen Walters' friend. Jen Walters is cool. Which is why when The Thing, the most popular character on the Fantastic Four, was replaced by She-Hulk, everybody was like, all right, because we like She-Hulk. They replaced the dude, the macho dude, The Thing, with She-Hulk. And everybody was like, all right. And she's not a macho chick. She's a sweet, friendly, like, girl next door. She's not even like, she's not like a tomboy, but she's more just like, well, here I am, like, this is what I'm the Hulk now. Well, I guess I gotta go beat up this guy. Like, she was just such a charming character, and the way that they destroyed her character in She-Hulk, and we'll get to one of the things on here it's such a tragedy, because that could have been such a huge hit for Marvel. If I was in charge of that fucking show, holy shit, man, it could just go on forever, the damn She-Hulk show. And the She-Hulk show is capable of sort of guiding the tone and the direction of the Marvel Universe in a wonderful way that nothing else necessarily would be, except for maybe like a Deadpool. But Deadpool's so irreverent, it doesn't make sense for him to guide shit, but Jennifer Walters is responsible enough that sort of like, you know, she's a linchpin because she's a lawyer, so she has a real practical job in the Marvel universe, you know, so it makes the Marvel universe a character by having her be in the Marvel universe as a functioning lawyer. And then she's also a superhero with all of these relationships because everybody freaking loves Jen, and she breaks the fourth wall like Deadpool does. You know, that was a Jen Walters original kind of, you know, for in terms of like it being a part of the narrative in the comics. I love She-Hulk. I really do. And I love Echo too. And Echo, there's been less done with her, but poof, it's so disappointing that this is something they call Echo. And I just I want to scream from the hilltops. Like I wish I could get on the loudest speaker imaginable, and to every single person seeing this thing, you know, who is like, oh, look at all this wonderful representation, but just who has no idea the foundations of this thing, and go, guys, do not support this. You have no clue. If you read what what this is based on, it is so good. You would love it so much more. This is so disappointing and disheartening what they have done here. If you understood what I understood as a fan of this character, and the only thing for you to believe me difference that I need is maybe some titties. If I had some titties and I was saying this, you know, if I had some titties and I was Native American with some titties, and I'm like, hey, let me tell you, I love Echo, and it's fucking perfect the way it was, and they fucked it up, and they freaking, this is racist and whatever else, people would listen to me. But oh no, you motherfucking racists, when you see me, you see I'm a white guy. That's fucking lame. Lame. I am nothing. I am an X. Fuck you. I am. I don't play this fucking pronoun game. You know, I hate all this shit of like I'm making everybody fucking subscribe to your thing and change up to your thing. I've always been a freaking non-binary is probably the freaking best term for me or something like that. Even though I present straight, I am straight, whatever. But it's like, this isn't your business. And like for me to have to fucking talk about this, and the only reason I do talk about it is because I'm one of these different people. I am a different person, and I've always wanted to live differently and be able to be accepted in any weird way that I might want to live, just in case. You know, like I want you to accept all things because I don't know what I should decide at any given time. If I decide I want to live weirdly, I want to be free to live weirdly, and I think everybody should be free to live as weirdly as they want. But it's so unfortunate, this world, because it doesn't mean anything coming from me. In order for it to mean something coming from me, I have to check all these stupid boxes or whatever. And even like, you know, I feel the need to like at least express that I am, you know, one of these fucking weirdos on some level, because I want my words to have more fucking power, that I think what they're doing is fucking ridiculous. It is. It's just fucking ridiculous. You know, I love somebody like Tim Dillon as a comedian. He's gay. And, you know, and Tim's just constantly like, this is fucking stupid. And this is so narcissistic. And it is. It is. It's stupid. It's narcissistic. There's so many things about it that are just all wrong. And I know we want to give sympathy and we want to care about people's, and that is true. You know, having sympathy as a society is important. Having sympathy as parents, having sympathy as people. It is. But it's also right to not take that past the point where too much sympathy leads to people wallowing in self-pity and not bettering themselves and not growing and being stuck and not living the best life that they can. Do you want suffering people to live the best life they can? Well, give them a little pity and then give them encouragement. Because that's what we need. We need a little bit of pity and a lot of encouragement. Because the road back from whatever the thing is, you know, however we've been hurt, and I know all about different ways that you could be hurt, and it sucks. And whenever I hear that anybody is dealing with hurt and pain on any level, I'm so sympathetic and Care Bear stare to all of you guys who are listening, who might be dealing with a little bit of anything right now that need it. And you know, it's rough, you know, when you need it and you don't. You know, it's not there and you feel like you can't talk to people and it's I understand struggle. I do. I really do. I'm like just thinking it of just all the people that I know are struggling right now. It chokes me up. And sympathy is deserved, is necessary. But then there is a limit, because more important than sympathy is that encouragement. It has to be so much bigger, and it has to be prolonged and extensive encouragement. People who are struggling need encouragement in the right direction. If you're overweight and Don't get locked into the feeling good about yourself being overweight. That's okay. It's good to feel good about yourself, and you can be sexy and attractive, and sometimes there are things that get in the way of us losing weight as well as we would like to. But at the same time, statistically, it's not good for you. We don't want to lose you. Your friends don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. We want you here. And we know, because you can see the math, that if you're unhealthy in this way, it tends to lead to just a statistical through the roof of possibilities that you might leave us sooner than you should. And there are easy ways to start to lose weight, but it all comes down to controlling your intake. You know, I was a best man in one of my brother-in-law's wedding, and I had kind of ballooned up a bit, and I hadn't seen it until I was in this suit, and I looked at myself in pictures, and I hated it. And I made a really simple change in my life at that time, and I just stopped ordering an appetizer, and I just started trying to, instead of like trying to eat my whole meal, I would just eat what was like comfortable for me to eat in a sitting. And I just shrank the size of my meal that I would eat. And consistently, I had a smaller meal. And, you know, there are other things that you could do. Whether you got to go for a walk or go to the gym or go do something or read a comic book or play a thing. You know, if I was hungry, I would just try to do something else or have like a little snack. Like I was having almonds, and there were certain snacks that I knew that I liked that were healthy for me. And so I switched to that. And in no time, with just a consistent change that lasted ultimately for forever, you know, to the point where, you know, my appetite's relatively small these days. But it worked, and I know that this can be so hard for everybody, but encouragement is all I offer here. You know, across the board, if your spine's getting bad, look into Ralphing. I know so many people who are getting into spinal surgery, and I've watched so many people who have gone through the spinal surgery process, and it hasn't necessarily gotten any better. It's just been one more after one more after one more. Well, I've been studying this shit a long time because I got hit by a car and my spine was all messed up. I had scoliosis and I had to fix myself. And the chiropractors can put you back straight, but your muscle tissue will pull you back out of alignment again. So you just end up going back and back and back and back to the chiropractors. Well, as it turns out, there are massage therapists called Ralphers. It's like ROWLF, something like that, who get into the muscle tissue and they'll separate all your muscle tissue. They'll break that stuff apart. And they can help you to permanently get some change on your spine. So all this is just to say, you can't go down this stupid route of just all pity for all the people, and only the people who represent this way can play this part, can do this thing. I mean, just look at this, you know, and I'm so excited that lady got the opportunity to do the thing, but unfortunately she's not a very good actress, and unfortunately she does not embody the role of Echo in any way, shape, or form. And these writers didn't read those comics and decide to do some sort of wonderful adaptation of this character, not from the get-go with Hawkeye and all. It's just it's all just wrong and disrespectful on every level, and we need to be able to have reasonable conversations about this shit, and not be throwing out all this stupid fucking racism and reverse racism and sexism. And just like at this point, you're all making yourself sound stupid, like just stupid. You sound like Neanderthals. Let me get my club. Let me hit you over the head with my way, my way, my way. You know why they call them Bible thumpers? Because they're always hitting you in the head with their fucking Bibles. Can't stand Bible thumpers. That was the reason why I always leaned super liberal, was because of these fucking Bible thumpers on the right. And then I have to go to the left and see you guys do the same stupid thing. You thought I was going to like it when you started doing it? No, I wasn't waiting for somebody else to thump something else. I don't want anybody thumping anything. Quit your thumping. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You do what you're going to do. I'm going to be nice to you. You better be nice to me. That's how it goes. That's it. And it is. It's a you better be nice to me. It's, because that's the quiet understanding that we need to have, because it's like not me, at the end of the day, I'm a peaceful man. I'm not interested in violence, even though I am. I love aggression, and I love I always hoping somebody try to start a fight with me. Because I'm a stupid lunatic who's like, whatever, I'll survive. It'll be fun. Good story. I really do think like that. I don't really think oh yeah, I'm gonna get really badly hurt, because I've been in enough freaking situations. This grabs my whole. I'm not worried about it at this stage of the game, and I think that that's a better way to live. But the promise of aggression on planet Earth amongst your average person is still here on some level. Okay? And it's important that aggression exists. That's what really being, like a god on earth means. It means recognizing that you have the power to destroy. And you have to choose not to use it, because you're a responsible, cool being. But that threat of it's possible, I can defend myself. Don't you tread on me too hard, because I could push back. That's the reality. And because of that reality, and the reality that we're all just one loving being, and I know it doesn't seem that way, but on the other side of things, it's just this, there only is love. Just this one unity that's coming out and wiggling all its fingers in different ways. We got to learn how to get on with each other, and we got to learn how to stop disrespecting each other. And we need to learn, that not everybody means us harm in all these stupid specific ways that have been pointed out to other people. And just because somebody subscribes to a certain belief doesn't mean that they automatically think all these other things that have been painted that they think. I hate comedians who go out and they're like, what the difference between white people and black people are? Fucking hate those comedians. Because I don't really see that much of a difference, and yeah, there's some differences, of course, there statistically, but ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're looking at the people as people, there's no difference between black people, there's no difference between white people, there's no difference between any people. It's just all people, I think there's maybe a difference between bodies. I think some of the bodies, maybe black people have a little bit more energy. Look, they're in basketball. They're exceeding. They're a little taller, and some of this muscle thing or whatever. Maybe they got a little extra energy. Maybe there's something similar going on in the Spanish community. And maybe there's something in the white community or the Asian community that's making us a little bit more tight asses. But me, and I'm in the white community, I'm super energetic, and so I get along with black people really great, and I get along with Hispanic people really great, and any passionate race on planet Earth. But that's it. Everybody, there's an exception. There's an exception to every fucking rule. Everybody's different. We're all different, but we're all ultimately the same. And I mean, it's so the differences are so minor ultimately that it's they're hardly fucking worth mentioning. And I hate when everybody's bringing them up, because it's just focusing on all the wrong shit, because we need to get our planet together. We need to come together and fix some things. There's a whole bunch of things going on planet Earth that are no good, and we got to get it going. And the more we're focused on all these differences and all these ways in which we can't get along or whatever, or the ways in which whatever, it's just time wasted that we could have been spending fucking fixing up planet Earth. And man, that's what I want to do more than anything else. I think if you ask everybody, I think 99.9% of people are more interested in fixing up planet Earth than they are in fixing up fucking stupid age-old race relations and shit. There's so much deeper stuff going on this planet. I mean, it's all about where we put our focus, and where our focus has been put when it comes to all this racial shit. And it's so disappointing so disappointing. And so, I mean, getting back to this stupid fucking list, because Echo, I mean, really, it's like Echo. Echo's not a sign of the bad, because Echo was made prior to them having the year that they've had. Okay, so like they didn't know, but Echo, right? So the good sign is, because of things like Echo, because of Agatha Harkness that hasn't been released yet, that's going to be a similar stupid escapade to what's going on with Echo right now, but probably not as egregious, because really nobody was sitting there freaking clamoring for an Agatha Harkness series. She's like a villain that people, like that would occasionally like come up or whatever, but like nobody that you ever imagined featuring anything on. It's just this. There are certain types of characters that are made in certain ways to just be sort of ominous figures and whatnot. And Agatha Harkness is one of those characters. And, making her Catherine Hahn and basically creating mythology for the Marvel Cinematic Universe through this character and stuff like in the show that wasn't there before. Because they're just going to be making this shit up. Like, none of that is appealing at all in any way, shape, or form. I love Catherine Hahn. She's awesome. But, like, oh, shit, I'm not excited for that show at all. And then what's the other one? They got freaking Ironheart. Nobody's excited for fucking Ironheart. I'll tell you that much. And they're going to rush these shows. It's going to be the same thing as freaking Echo. So, anyway, learning from those things, Daredevil's being reshot completely. Falcon and Cap is being reshot completely. They're going to be using some of this stuff. So, that's good. But then, bad, number one, good number one, bad number one, they announced the new Avengers lineup, which thankfully he wasn't included, I don't think at the time or whatever, but like, and I don't know if this was leaked. It just seems insane, but like people, this multiple articles, and I couldn't like sort of like get anybody to write it in words that I wanted to hear it. But like, this seems to have came from Marvel Studios, that their new Avengers lineup is going to be, okay, ultimately Spider-Man anchoring a team of Wong, She-Hulk, Smart Hulk, Shang-Chi, and Marvel's Katie, Falcon Cap, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Valkyrie. So I did a whole fucking episode of this, so I won't talk about it that long. But Valkyrie's not an Avenger. Okay, first and foremost. Katie's not an Avenger. Shang-Chi, if Shang-Chi is an Avenger, and maybe he is, it's only in the past like 10 years. And I literally would tell you it was probably an edict, because they were planning on doing this. Shang-Chi is a street level member of the Marvel Universe. Marvel Universe has like different tiers of different sorts of heroes. They're kind of interesting in that way compared to like DC to some degree. And the character of Shang-Chi is a badass martial artist. They've upgraded him with these stupid rings in the Shang-Chi movie, I guess to make him an Avengers level character. All right. Suffice to say, and Spider-Man has not been in the Avengers very long. If they wanted to get Spider-Man to the Avengers, they should have done a really cool adaptation of the new Avengers. And with Luke Cage, and they could. I did a whole show of this. If you want to go back and check it out, I was like, it's like fixing the new Avengers roster or something like that, or the new Avengers something about the Avengers roster. It's like 3 episodes ago. So you can go back and check it out. But this is nothing close to resembling anything that anybody who has spent any amount of time reading about or enjoying the Avengers in any way wants to see. This is not a team that represents any sort of iconography from any time in the Marvel Universe. This team is completely unique to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To even call them the Avengers is sort of a joke. I mean, Captain Marvel, though we don't really adore her, and Captain Falcon can kind of go together with She-Hulk and Spider-Man, and it's like, oh, cool, some members of the Avengers are here. But, like, at no point does this coalesce into looking like a team of characters that I would want to read about in the comics. Like, that's the thing, man. When new team books come out, the big thing is who's on the team, who's on the roster. Oh, this character, this character, this character, this character, this character. Oh, and who's that guy? He looks cool, or he doesn't really look cool, or it's those characters. Nah, I don't want to read it. I don't want to fucking watch that Avengers movie. So, hopefully, they get the message, because I know this Avengers lineup has been maligned, and they're fucking shuffling and making a million different changes and whatnot to try to please people. So you got good, you got bad. Now, we got good, which is, I should say, right on the heels of bad, because one of the things that was also announced in the bad, that I'll say when they announced the Avengers lineup, around that same time, they announced that there was going to be a new season for Miss Marvel and a new season for She-Hulk. So the good news is She-Hulk seems to definitely be canceled. And again, this, like, it was reported like this by everybody that She-Hulk is canceled. But when I was going to look into it, it kind of looks like it's largely based on just Tiana Milani, whatever the name of the actress who played She-Hulk, her saying in some interview that the budget for the first season was way too high and that they're definitely not going to get a second season. And to some degree, I say, what does she know? Because she's an actress and she's not a, she's not a producer. She's not Marvel Studios. I mean, like they're ultimately making decisions. I think it is the most idiotic decision I've ever heard in my life to do She-Hulk season 2 at this stage of the game. Like, not a good idea. So the idea that she's saying that it's not happening, I think, well, that makes more sense, and that should be the case. But so good. She-Hulk season 2 canceled. Bad. Kevin Feige is still the head of Marvel Studios. As soon as they dissolved the Marvel Brain Trust, the creative committee, the Marvel Creative Committee, I said, this is bad. This is a problem. I've talked about this many times before. There are so many names in that pool of creative people who were helping out with Marvel and their cinematic universe in the beginning. From executive type people who had worked with the brands for a very long time, like your Ike Perlmutters or Dan Buckley, to some of the greatest creative people in comics, like Craig Kyle and Brian Michael Bendis and Joe Quesada and Jeff Loeb and Mark Millar. The list goes on, Ed Brubaker. And there's a lot of wonderful people who they could have included in the discussions for this continued Marvel Universe that they cut out. It was the big coup of getting rid of Ike Perlmutter. They really painted him to be a bad guy at the time. It seems to me like, as is often the case, the devil is not as black as he be painted. I, for a long time, thought that he was perhaps a big problem. I'm not so certain anymore that he was necessarily all a problem, even though there was some things that he was standing in the way of. But when they got him to move out of the way, they then pushed him out of the company. Now there's a big, stock dispute or whatever for control of the company of Disney going on. Ultimately, it seems, with Ike Perlmutter proxy people who are trying to get in to help re-steer Disney back on to the right track. So there's been a power struggle going on behind the scenes at Marvel, and Kevin Feige was able to wrestle the reins from everybody else, and everything he has done since has been fucking ultimately awful. And there's plenty of credit. I've talked about things that have been good and whatever else at other times, but ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, as somebody looking this objectively as a professional who could fucking do his job so much fucking better than him, and not because it's all me, but because I know that you don't fucking get rid of that Marvel Brain Trust, and that you make sure that these scripts are in alignment with what your audience is fucking looking for. There's just so much stupidity on display here, and we tend to be the thing of like, well, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, and I'm not in Kevin Feige's place, so I don't know. And you know what? The one thing you don't know about Kevin Feige's place and everybody's place ultimately is what they are being prevented from doing. But unfortunately, all we can judge them on is what they are doing. This is what they are doing, and it is not the way. They are not going to succeed like this. So Kevin Feige's still in charge, and I haven't heard an announcement of the Marvel Brain Trust returning. That's what I want to hear. That's the announcement that I'd like to hear. The Marvel Brain Trust returns, headed up by Joe Quesada. Pick Joe. Joe sounds good. I like Joe. Joe's got good relationships with all those people. Bring back Joe. Get Joe in there. Have Joe oversee this shit the same way he oversaw Marvel Knights back in the day. Joe Quesada is a brilliant, brilliant creative person. He has demonstrated it time and time again. You need him. Bring him back. Let him bring back all the people that he wants to. Get Craig Kyle in there. Get Jeff Loeb in there. Wonderful, wonderful creative people who I would absolutely trust to steer this ship back on course. And if you told the fans of these properties that that change was made, we would all stand up and applaud. But until that happens, or until you get the fuck rid of Kevin Feige and give us some new great white, black, brown, female, who gives a shit hope to cheer for, we're looking at the same guy who just ruined it. You gave him the thing, and it's gone. You gave him the thing, and it's gone. Sorry if you can hear this little beeping that's going on up back. I'm not turning off my show. I'm on a roll. God damn it. So let's see. Now, on the good side of things, and I don't know, I mean, this isn't bad, so I can't say it's bad. And it is good in that it is at least sending a message to fans that they are hearing what you're liking and are trying to give you more of that. And that is that Mandalorian and Grogu are getting their own movie. And Filoni, it's been promoted. I'll put it, in the same bit here, with Ahsoka and being given a little bit of control to sort of guide some things. But clearly this is still underneath Kathleen Kennedy or whatever. He's doing some stuff. There's another movie. Actually, you know what? I have an article here that I was going to pull up and I was going to read about it. Just so you have an idea. So, right, like these were the announcements that ultimately came out. There's going to be 3 movies, 2 new Star. This is what is it? In case you want to see the fucking article, it's The Guardian. Star Wars announces 3 new films on the way with Daisy Ridley to return as Rey. Sorry, I haven't gotten there yet. It's jumping. You probably heard about this, but 2 new Star Wars films are to go into production. It has been announced with more details revealed of the third to follow. The 2 new films will be overseen by James Mangold, the director of Logan. You mean 2 new films will be overseen by James Mangold, the director of Indiana Jones 5, and Dave Filoni, the co-creator of the Mandalorian TV series and director of the 2008 computer-animated feature Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Kennedy said that the Mangold's movie will tell the tale of the first Jedi to wield the Force and harness it as a liberating power in an era of chaos and oppression, while Filoni's film is about the escalating war between the Imperial Remnant and the fledgling New Republic, and will close out the interconnected stories told in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and other Disney Plus series. Okay, the problem is, we didn't like any of that. The Book of Boba Fett was so monumentally disappointing. I mean, holy shit. And like, you're running on fumes. You've got the new fans. The old fans left so long ago. I mean, like, all my old Star Wars friends, who are Star Wars fans forever, they haven't watched anything in for fucking forever. They haven't watched any of the new stuff. I'm the idiots. We're the idiots watching this bullshit. I mean, it's fucking, it's stupid, man. So, and Ahsoka, I didn't even watch Ahsoka. I only watched a little bit of Obi-Wan. I didn't like that one. He's like, so they're gonna these are gonna wrap up all the things, and now you're gonna put fucking Kathleen Kennedy in charge of greenlighting the way the origin for the Jedi, like the origin of the Force of the first Jedi story is gonna be freaking told by you. You think anybody is like, oh my god, I'm so excited, ah! And the Mandalorian and freaking, I mean, like, the promoting Dave Filoni and giving Jon Favreau a Mandalorian Grogu movie is, I guess, good. I don't know what would be good at this point for fucking Star Wars. I don't know. All I can say is it's not bad. Maybe I should change the title of the video to 4 good things and 1 kind of wibbly wobbly, I guess it's good thing. I don't know. I was going to leave it at 5 so the title's not too long. But I don't know. It's kind of good. It's kind of good. It's kind of good. All right. Bad. Rey movie is announced with feminist documentary director, which I could just continue on in this article here, and I could tell you a little bit about that. The third film to be announced, project to be directed by Sharmeen Obad-Chinoy, who has been known about for some time as a documentary filmmaker, a very, very strongly feminist documentary filmmaker, and that's all well and good. She may not take a crazy feminist stance on her Star Wars film, but literally she's been chosen because she's a very feminist director of documentaries. It's just fucking crazy. This is the clown world we're living in. I mean, seriously, what sort of representation is this, ladies? Right? If you're a lady out there and there's like some awesome fucking dope ass director who can direct some stuff like this, like, fucking get them. You know, there's been some cool directors, female directors who I've seen direct some great shit over the years. How do you guys just like forget about them? Like, why don't you like go back and get some of these people? I don't remember a lot of names but I remember because people will make a point of it of like, I was directed by a lady actually, and you're like, oh fuck, really? I did a great job. Like that Punisher Warzone director, I thought did a really great job. Punisher Warzone with Ron, what's his name? That guy just passed away. Fucking love that one. It's a good one. Anyway, this lady, a documentary director. Okay. Does she care about Star Wars? Does she want to make I bet she wants the money that comes from making a Star Wars movie. Is Star Wars interesting to her? She's like, oh man, I'd love to make Is this something that she's been clamoring for her whole life? Can we get some people who fucking want to do this? Right? Can we just get some people who really want to be there? And not people who are being paid to be there and cast for how they look and what their sex is and all this stuff. It's fucking insulting, man. It's insulting to the audience. It's insulting to the races. It's insulting to the sexes. It's fucking insulting to the mind of God. The infinite mind of God and all of its... It's an insult. It's just like an insult. It's just so stupid. Ugh. So you got this lady, and they're bringing back Rey, and then, good news, the Rey movie gets delayed indefinitely, or delayed a bunch, or the script's not exactly done, or I don't know. Again, there's all different sorts of little bits of reporting on this freaking thing, and I find it harder and harder now to like trace the shit back to the source of like, where did this start? But now immediately the movie's being delayed. And the whole thing here that's just ridiculous is this Rey movie and this director was announced at like the Disney Star Wars celebration or one of these big events, a big promotional event that they had. After the announcement went over so badly with the fans, a week later, unceremoniously and with no fanfare whatsoever, it's announced that they're making a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. This is definitely no coincidence. This is to cover up the shitty press that the other thing was getting. Now, I also see reports and what I think too could be the thing is that even though they're saying this thing is like delayed or whatever, it may just be cover for the fucking thing, cover so that the fans shut up about it, because clearly, and this is the bad news that I'm going to get into. Kathleen Kennedy is still pulling the strings, and her freaking job is to just destroy everything George Lucas ever did. I think she secretly hates that motherfucker, and probably for good reason. He probably treated her like shit. There is a little interview that you can hear of freaking Steven Spielberg talking about her like she's the coffee lady in such a disrespectful and fucking ridiculous tone. I mean, it is fucked up. Really, honestly, to speak of another human being the way he is speaking of her. If you don't have anything nice to say, Steve, shut your fucking mouth. I mean, like, boy, he was really being disrespectful. And I've come to not appreciate Kathleen Kennedy, so when you hear it, you go, oh, I'm glad. But at the same time, let's go rewind for a second, and let's rewind back to her being the assistant for freaking Steven Spielberg or whatever. Let's rewind for her being this person, this lower person on the totem pole who, isn't getting the respect that she deserves, but hopefully she hopes that maybe one day she'll get the respect or whatever else. And then meanwhile, she has to hear this freaking disrespectful shit being said, goofing on her that she's only capable of this, that, or the other thing, whatever, making fun of her. Like, that's not nice. So, does something like that turn a person into a person who wants to destroy George Lucas's and Steven Spielberg's legacy and fucking shit all over everything that they've ever done? Yeah, maybe. There are signs that might be true. There are some signs that perhaps that's what's going on. I mean, really. I mean, seriously, the freaking leaks that freaking Doomcock had on YouTuber, if you haven't heard of him, on Indiana Jones were so clearly right, on so many levels, and clearly they were trying to push it. Literally, they were going to erase Indy from history, and then I think the plan would have been, which is kind of interesting, would have been to have Phoebe Waller-Bridge have to fill in for Indy to remake all the movies. like she would go through all the adventures that he was now dead and couldn't do, which is kind of funny on some level. But that's the plan. I mean, just like if that isn't like subtext, fuck you, George, fuck you, Steven. I don't know. It seems like that to me. It seems like a big old middle finger to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg right there. And I mean, there's a lot of that going on. The Force is female, and I mean, you get it. The Force is female. What, like, these things on some level and whatever, it's just like, it's no big deal. Like if Rey had been executed correctly, it could have been great, man. Like, all of this shit could have been great. I really like all of it. Foundationally, like from the fucking beginning, every single thing could have been great. Anything can be executed well. I'm telling you. I mean, like, if I got a bug up my ass about convincing the world that, I don't know, like fucking that War and Peace was exciting, like I could do a version of it. That somehow, like, and if you went War and Peace, except there can be no violence in it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll use comedy to get there. Like you can always make something great by just tapping into whatever it is, and sometimes it's tapping into the things about it that are stupid, so that you can make them that much stupider and make it something that is so ironic and sort of almost silly in its execution that it becomes wry. Where it's just there's just something funny about this. You're funny, your wry sense of humor. There are ways to squeeze from a stone water, and it's just, you just gotta have the right tools, apply the right things to the thing, and it has not been done well. But looking between the lines, specifically what has been done, twice now, she's injected a character who kind of looks like her. A white lady with long brown hair. Well, they're British ladies, so, I mean, I guess I'll give her a pass for that. Maybe that's her going, maybe they won't notice if she's British. If it's a British lady, they won't notice. Maybe that's it. But, seriously, dude, Kathy Kennedy, I'm sorry. I feel for you. It seems like they're dickholes. It seems like they're a bunch of Hollywood egotistical maniacs, the same way I was talking about The Rock. You want to know why The Rock's an egotistical maniac in the Shazam thing and all that stuff? You know where that sort of behavior comes from? It comes from being in Hollywood and bushing up against all that energy, and he took it on. He let the demon of ego possess him that's flowing through Hollywood, and now he's got a little bit of it. He's carrying it around with him, and he's making these bad decisions. And George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, they definitely have gotten that ego thing. I've definitely seen some interviews with them and some things with them where I went, all right, these guys have transcended into some other realm where they think that they're better than other people. And it happens, unfortunately. And they'll try to keep it under wraps, but you see it in little ways, like Steven Spielberg goofing on his assistant in a way that should have been behind closed doors and not any recording ever be made of. It's just like, I don't know. Seems pretty petty to me, and certainly the type of thing that could create the monster that is Kathleen Kennedy. So, continuing on our good, bad list, our last two come down to good. Oh, and officially, the bad there is Kathleen Kennedy is still the head of Lucasfilm. And until that changes, I don't see any good ultimately being able to come from the company. And I don't really think that a Mandalorian Grogu movie is going to be great unless it ends in the same place where the friggin' thing started up, with him going to train again and train as a Jedi and them not being together anymore, and dude, I think the ship has sailed. I think it's all queered, and the storyline is it's like you're reading a story and there's an ongoing story, and then eventually the story gets so convoluted you stop reading the book. And I think we've all put the book down. And I don't think we're picking the book back up again until Kathy's gone. I am going to watch Andor because that's a book that I'm still reading and I'm enjoying. But that's it. That's it for me. And, these announcements, I mean, we'll see what people are saying or whatever. And, I mean, maybe I'll check them out if it seems like something that's going to be of interest to me. But I'm done with Star Wars after Andor Season 2. All right, so next good. Marvel changes up Phase 6. And look, I don't know how good this is. I don't know how good it's going to be. But it's a change. They're changing up what their initial plans are. They're trying to bring in the X-Men sooner. There's a couple things associated with that like that the rumblings are. It's going to be very highly focused on the women. At this point, I don't have faith in them introducing any characters. But a lot of what they're going to be introducing here is going to be characters from the Fox universe and characters from other films, hopefully, like, Wesley Snipes' Blade and Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider, things like that. There's no confirmation that that's definitely going to be happening, but if Marvel is smart and Marvel is trying to milk as much out of this franchise right now as it's falling, whatnot, and doing this multiverse thing where they have the opportunity to open up dimensions and just pull these other actors who have already represented these characters, some in less than wonderful ways, but it would be fun. It would be a novelty. It would be great to see Tobey Maguire team up with a lot of these characters and whatnot. They could bring back Tony Stark. They could bring back Captain America. All of these things are ultimately very good. And it will be, at least has a chance at being better than it's been. And maybe relatively soon. And I'm suspecting that the Marvel Universe might be at least as a good enough situation where you're going to be able to go, all right, I'll see Deadpool and I'll see this one, but I'll skip that one and I'll skip that one. And maybe if they get their shit together enough, they can turn things around. But the Marvel Universe, if anybody's listening who matters, bring back the Marvel Brain Trust. Okay? That's it. Very simple. Bring back the Marvel Brain Trust. Get some checks and balances over Kevin. Get this shit on track, man. Like, oof. It's so disappointing. All right. The final bad is Bob Iger is still the fucking head of Disney. Holy shit. This idiot. This fucking political pundit. This weatherman. he's it's like I agree with a lot of the things that Bob does, but I realize a lot of the reasons why Bob is doing them is because he doesn't have fucking taste. He doesn't have any fucking creative talent. So he lets the creative people use their taste and their creative talent. That is generally a good thing to be doing. Let your creative people be the creative people that you brought in. But in order to really do your job well, Bob, you have to be a creative talent yourself. You have to have taste. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to understand what the people beneath you are doing enough so that you can make sure that what they're doing is going to be great. And what they are doing has not been. Holy shit. And you are not capable of doing anything about this. Because what are you going to be relying on now, Bob? Their word. So you go into Kathy's office and you yell at her and you go, you're blowing it, Kathy, and this, you better this, you better XYZ. And she goes, okay, I will. And then what, you like put a couple people on there that she's like parading around and distracting and whatever else as they shoot their scenes and they do all their stuff so that so-and-so doesn't know what it's really about until the end of the thing. And how did I not find out about this? And there's all this secret shit going on. And then Kevin Feige, oh, well, he's doing great. And then you're passing on Pixar just to the next people. Let Pixar fucking run itself. As you friggin' turn your company into a cesspool of, if I don't like my boss, I can get him fired for whatever inappropriate behavior I say he does. He hugged me too long. He's too hard on me. He's mean. And now we don't have John Lasseter, and Pixar's falling apart, and the animation studio's falling apart, and the live action studio's falling apart. Do you know why? We had Tangled, and we had Frozen, and we had Coco, and we had all of these great things because John Lasseter was the head, not just of Pixar, but of Disney Animation and of Disney Studios. And he was bringing back the magic. And then you threw him out on his ass, and everything that we've had from the company since has been less because of it. Well, I'm Jesse Blaze Snider, and you've been listening to the Coolest Geek Alive. I really appreciate you guys checking out my sponsors who have been we've been running spots for Distiller and Diet Smoke. And HelloFresh, and I really hope you're utilizing some of the Geek special codes to get some of those discounts and stuff. I thought the free breakfast for life thing was a pretty cool one for HelloFresh. I'm actually thinking about joining up myself on my new place. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I'm working on a ton of cool things, but I'll talk about some in the future. I'm going to let some of my cool announcements build up for some of the cool things that I'm doing right now. So I'll leave you without any more promotion than you need. But please write to me at jesseblaze@jessesnider.com. I really love you all so much. I love hearing from you. It's always so great. When I started giving out my email and whatnot and like talking as freely as I've been now, having, I think, a pretty normal conversation where I say largely what I mean, and like occasionally censoring myself in small ways to try and not trigger people in the wrong way. I don't want to trigger anybody, but I do want to be able to have these conversations. So like I definitely am pulling punches because I think words are it's just words. So I might think about something one way, but then when I want to go communicate it to somebody, I'll talk about it differently because I don't want to say it like this because this won't be effective in communicating with the person because they're going to associate and think and whatever else. So, but I do try to have a really clean and honest conversation with you guys every week without pulling any punches in any way, shape, or form, really. And plenty of the time I do say the silly thing if I think it's funny. But I don't go out of my way to like speak gratuitously, in any way that is going to be divisive on purpose. And but still, I thought that I was going to be inundated with emails of people being like, "Fuck you, Jesse," and blah, 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 let me tell you about my pronouns and blah, 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 like, and that has not been the case. It's just been a steady stream of lots of love and commiserating and appreciation for a lot of the frustrations that we're all feeling. Especially all of us who feel like that we're not necessarily on the left or necessarily on the right, and we're in the middle and we want us all to win. And we're like, man, I just hate seeing the world fall apart in this way. It's so disheartening, and we want to see it. We want to see the world be brought back together. So, but if you've got hate mail, send it my way. Jesse Blaze at jessesnider.com. It's okay. I can take it at this point. I've gotten enough of the nice ones. And anyway, I hope you join me again next Wednesday and this coming Saturday for another ass-kicking episode of the Coolest Geek Alive! You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I played that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living the shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Foot in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right on text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. First one passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The Podcast Playground.